Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Sisi Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Maharani ki, Sisi Prahlad Nrsimhadev Bhagavan ki, Nitai Gaur Sundar ki, Patit Pavan Shila Prabhupada ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nashtaprayesu Abhadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Studying from Gantra Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 8, text number 70 onwards. Grantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Maitreya uvacha iti devarsina proktam visrutya jagati patihi raja lakshmin anaditya putram evan vachintat yat. Maitreya uvacha iti iti devarsina proktam vishrutya jagati patihi raja lakshmin anaditya putram evan vachintayat. Maitreya uvacha iti devarsina proktam vishrutya jagati patihi raja lakshmin anaditya putram evan vachintayat. Maitreya uvacha iti devarsina proktam vishrutya jagati patihi raja lakshmin anaditya putram evan vachintayat. Maitreya uvacha iti devarsina proktam vishrutya jagati patihi raja lakshmin anaditya putram evan vachintayat. Translation. The great Maitreya continued, the king Uttanpad, after being advised by Narad Muni, practically gave up all duties in relation with his kingdom, which was very vast and wide, opulent like the goddess of fortune, and he simply began to think of his son Dhruva. Text number 71. Tatrabhisikta prayatas tama uposya vibhavanim. Samahita paryascharat rishi adesena purusham. Translation. Elsewhere, Dhruva Maharaja, having arrived at Madhuvan, took his bath in the river Yamuna and observed fasting in the night with great care and attention. After that, as advised by the great sage Narada, he engaged himself in worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Again, elsewhere, Dhruva Maharaja, having arrived at Madhuvan, took his bath in the river Yamuna and observed fasting in the night with great care and attention. After that, as advised by the great sage Narada, he engaged himself in worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport. The significance of this particular verse is that Dhruva Maharaja acted exactly according to the advice of his spiritual master, the great sage Narada. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti also advises that if we want to be successful in our attempt to go back to Godhead, we must very seriously act according to the instructions of his spiritual master. That is the way of perfection. There need be no anxiety over attaining perfection, because if one follows the instructions given by the spiritual master, he is sure to attain perfection. Our only concern should be how to execute the order of his spiritual master. Spiritual master is expert in giving special instructions to each of his disciples, and if the disciples execute the order of the spiritual master, that is the way of his perfection. Om Tat Sat. Om Jnana-timirandhasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langyayate Girim Yatkipatamaham Bande Sri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanyam Ishwaram. So it is mentioned that King Uttanpad was advised by Narad Muni. So we will read the previous text where Narad Muni is advising King Uttanpad to get a brief of what he is advised. In text number 64, it is mentioned, the great sage Narada inquired, "My dear king, your face appears to be withering up, and you look like you have been thinking of something for a very long time. What is that? Have you been hampered in following your path of religious rites, economic development, and sense gratification?" So in this text we are seeing that Narad Muni has gone back. He has instructed Dhruva Maharaj, and then from there he did not leave. He went back to his father, King Uttanapada. Though he knows what has happened, still he is inquiring from King Uttanapada just in order to start the interaction and relate with him. So in this verse we see that he specifically did not mention about moksha, because that's it, in that place, in that circumstances, King Uttanapada had actually neglected the moksha, and he was too much involved into his family affairs. So just to indicate on this, he did not mention about moksha. He just said economic dharma, artha and kama. So like last time when Srinivasa Prabhu was giving class, he also mentioned that generally people they forget about moksha. Uh, people are too religious, and they are busy in economic development and sense gratification. But for moksha, hardly people are worried. So this is what indirectly he is reminding to King Uttanapada. Next verse is saying, the king replied, O best of Brahmanas, I am very much addicted to my wife, and I am so fallen that I have abandoned all merciful behavior even to my son, who is only 5 years old. I have banished him and his mother, even though he is a great soul and a great devotee. My dear Brahmana, the face of my son was just like a lotus flower. I am thinking of his precarious condition. He is unprotected and he might be very hungry. He might have lain down somewhere in the forest and the wolves might have attacked him to eat his body. Alas, just see how I was conquered by my wife. Just imagine my cruelty. Out of love and affection, the boy was trying to get up on my lap, but I did not receive him, nor did I even pat him for a moment. Just imagine how hard hearted I am. So, you see that how the destiny is working, how modes are working. King Uttanapada is certainly very, very great, even from the ordinary point of view. He is a son of Swambhu Manu. Swambhu Manu is considered as a incarnation of the Lord. He is directly his son. Definitely is very, very qualified. But still, this happened to him. That he neglected his so nice chaste wife and such a nice disciplined, very beautiful young son. So this happened to him. So how powerful is destiny? Out of effect of three modes, everyone is made to dance in this world. We see that now this has been done. After that, important point is to notice he is regretting. This is very, very important, that though the mistake has happened, but after the time has passed, he is realized that and is regretting. This is what happens in devotee's life. It's not that devotees, they are not affected by three modes. They get affected by three modes. Even King Uttanapada is getting affected. What to speak about normal? We are practicing Krishna consciousness from a few years. Even King Uttanapada is getting affected. But important thing is to note that after all this happened, he realized his mistake and is sincerely regretting it. But on the other hand, in the non-devotees, these things will hardly will be able to see. People will throughout their life will justify, no, they were right. But here we see that he is regretting, and therefore we see that though there are misunderstanding among devotees, but shortly it is sorted out, because their heart Paramatma is sitting and giving directions to them that this mistake was done, and that is sorted out in due course of time. Therefore, it is said that it is difficult to stay with devotees, but it's impossible to stay with non-devotees. Because devotees, they will regret, and they will come to understanding. So, another point to look at is just if some misunderstanding arised between two devotees, and at some point of time, one person may be wrong, other person may be right, but uh, uh, we should definitely be assured that uh, person who is wrong, because since he is practicing Krishna consciousness, at one point of time surely he will realize his mistake and he will regret. So that is not the end of the game. If we are somewhere something has gone wrong, person is practicing sincerely Krishna consciousness, Krishna is sitting in their heart, will guide him, and surely he will come to understanding and he will try to rectify himself. So this is what is happening here. Alas, just see how I was conquered by my wife. Just imagine my cruelty. Out of love and affection, the boy was trying to get up on my lap, but I did not receive him, nor did I even pat him for a moment. Just imagine how hard-hearted I am. Narada Uvacha, the great sage Narada replied, My dear king, please do not be aggrieved about your son. He is well protected by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although you have no actual information of his influence, his reputation is already spread all over the world. My dear king, your son is very competent. He will perform activities which would be impossible even for great kings and sages. Very soon he will complete his task and come back home. You should know that he will also spread your reputation all over the world. So this is Narad Muni has informed King Uttanapada. And we see that here, that how by the Lord's mercy, Dhruva Maharaja is going to accomplish, which is impossible even by great sages at such an advanced age, such an young age. He will be able to do this just by mercy of his spiritual master. This is explained here in this verse, which we are discussing. The great Maitreya continued. The king Uttanapada, after being advised by Narad Muni, practically gave up all duties in relation with his kingdom, which was very vast and wide, opulent like the goddess of fortune, and he simply began to think of his son Dhruva. This is a expertise of a spiritual master who is preaching on behalf of Krishna. So Super Soul first directed Narada Muni to go and meet Dhruva Maharaj, and then same way he was also brought to Uttanapada, King Uttanapada, and we see what is the result. Even King Uttanapada is now full in meditation, and his way of spiritual life is going rapidly. Earlier he would have been morose, depressed, but now after hearing from Narad Muni, he gave up all his worldly duties and he just started thinking about his son Dhruva, who is a very great personality. Yesterday, Sesu was telling that how Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, one of his disciples, was very sick, and he was thinking he may quit his body very soon. So he wanted to go and meet his mother before he dies. So that time he asked Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur that let me go. Then he said, no, you should not go. you be here only. You don't have to go. You just think about Krishna. Then this disciple very much wanted to go, but since he was said not to go, he did not go. After 2-3 months passed, he really became more sick, and he was about to quit at any time. That time, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur came to him and said, "Now you should go and meet your mother." And he was very surprised. He said, "No, I am very sick and I can pass away anywhere. I am here in Sridham Mayapur. Why I should, no, you are asking me to go now. Let me be here now anyway. I am going to pass away any time." And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur sent his 2 disciples and he said, "No, you take him to home. He has to see his mother." Then these 2 other disciples, they took him, and while going in the train, the person passed away. When the person passed away, the devotee passed away, then these 2 other disciples also became disappointed. And they went and reported to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, their Guru Maharaj, that the person would have been stayed back in Mayapur and would have got benefited by dying in Mayapur Dham. This was we feel this was somewhere there was something wrong in the decision. Then Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, "No, I perfectly gave a correct instructions." Because when the person 2-3 months before, he was thinking to meet his mother, he was so much into thought of his mother that suppose if he pass away at that time, he will be thinking about his mother and passing away. So I said, "No, you stay back." And after and recently, when he was very sick, there was a chance, because he did not see his mother, he will be thinking of his mother while passing away. Therefore, I instructed that he should be taken to meet his mother, because while he is away from Mayapur, he will be hankering to be in Mayapur. In this way, there will be more chance for him, that hankering, that remembrance of Mayapur while he is passing away. So therefore I said, you take him to Mayapur, so that while passing away, he will be thinking about Mayapur. So this is very important, that the thoughts, especially at time of death, what kind of thoughts we have, that kind of destinations we will get. So what Krishna is telling, anta kale cha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram ya prayati samad bhavam yati nasti yatra samsaya. So the place, all other things doesn't matter. Krishna is not specifying that. It is specifying that what kind of consciousness one, what kind of thoughts one have while he is passing away. So we see that how Narad Muni, being very expert, he just changed the thoughts of King Uttanapada. Earlier, he was, for petty reasons, he was worried. Now, he is thinking about his son and glories of his son, the activities what he has done. That is connected with Lord Vishnu. So, this is, though earlier also he was thinking about son, and now also he is thinking about son, but there is 180 degree shift. Earlier, it was in connection with material affection, now it is connection with service of the Lord Vishnu. And this next verse which is mentioned, that elsewhere Dhruva Maharaja have arrived at Madhuvana, took his bath in the river Yamuna, and observed fasting in the night with great care and attention. After that, as advised by the great sage Narada, he engaged himself in worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And purport Srila Prabhupada is writing that, is quoting Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and is saying, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti also advises that if we want to be successful in our attempt to go back to Godhead, we must be very seriously act according to the instructions of the spiritual master. That is the way of perfection. There need be no anxiety over attaining perfection, because if one follows the instructions given by the spiritual master, he is sure to attain perfection. Our only concern should be how to execute the order of the spiritual master. A spiritual master is expert in giving special instructions to each of his disciples, and if the disciples executes the order of the spiritual master, that is the way of his perfection. So it's the spiritual master may not give standard instructions to everyone. His instructions may differ from person to person. Even I was discussing yesterday, Udaya Prabhu came, Dr. Udaya Prabhu came. He's a medical Ayurvedic doctor, so he was explaining me that how when the doctor, Ayurveda doctor, treat the patient, it differs from case to case. He was explaining that our body, there are three principles: Kapha, Pitta and Vayu. And if this Kapha, Pitta, Vayu is balanced, we are healthy. And if it is not balanced, it is not in equilibrium, then people actually become sick. So the doctor just try to balance this by giving medicine. But there is another thing in this treatment. This Kapha, Pitta, Vayu will not be actually balanced for each individuals. There will be special situation for each individuals. Kapha, Pitta, Vayu. According to his body, there will be sometime Kapha, maybe more, and which will be normal for him. Say that like a person who is a they're fatty, he may be having more of vata, those. But for him it is normal. Similarly, somebody may be having more pitta, so his body is like a pitta body. So each and every individual has his own percentage of a kapha, pitta, vayu, and it is and he is accustomed to used to that. So when any patient comes, that is his expertise of the practitioner doctor, that he analyzes that what is the correct equilibrium according to him, and when he is treating, he is trying to get that equilibrium by his medicines. So therefore, when two patients goes, they may have similar problems, but the medicines will be different. Similar problems, but because they are two individuals, two different personalities, the doctor gives them different medicines. This may not be case with allopathy and homeopathy. They are treating as per symptoms, but here the doctor is treating that individual patient. According to that, medicine is different. So here we see that the spiritual master may is expert in giving special instructions to each of his disciples. So according to the disciples' modes, the spiritual master is giving instruction to him. It may not be same instruction to all the disciples. Like Narad Muni first examined Dhruva Maharaja. He did not directly gave him instructions. He is examining him. You are a young boy. No, why you want to take it so seriously? Young boys should not take honor and dishonor very seriously. This is the time to go and play. When you become old, you will get a good opportunity to practice Krishna consciousness. That time you should try. No, don't do all these things. Go back home. It's not good for this. He was just testing him, that what state of mind he is. And when he found out that he is very, very determined, so he gave him the instructions, which is again according to time, place, circumstances. He's asked him to do Archana Vidhi, worship the deities. But then he gave instructions what is available in the forest, and according to that you should worship. And then he gave him also mantra, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudeva. He initiated him, he asked him to chant, and he asked him to do meditation. So perfectly he just designed a suitable process for him, so that he will achieve Krishna. So the spiritual master, bona fide spiritual master, by the arrangements of super soul, by arrangement of Krishna, is expert in doing this. साक्षात हरित्वेन समस्त शास्त्र रुक्तस तथा भाव्यत एव सद्भिः किंतु प्रभोर्य प्रियेव तस्य वंदे गुरो श्री चरणारविंदम. So this is the sloka is very very dear to Lord because he is working just exactly on behalf of the Lord as he desires. And he gives guided by the super soul is giving a correct prescriptions to the sincere seeker, sincere disciple. Here we see the sincerity of Dhruva Maharaja. So as Narad Muni advised, he just did like that. Exactly 100% he followed. And what was the result? Very quickly he was able to have the Lord come to him and fulfill all his desires. So this point is stressed many times by Srila Prabhupada in his purports. He says that to follow the instructions of the spiritual master, one should follow exactly the instructions of the spiritual master. And how one should follow, Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita. Exact word I am not able to remember, but translation is without having proprietorship. Prabhupada explains in Srimad Bhagavatam purports also that a businessman goes to start a business, so he makes some investments. While he is making investment, he takes risk. What is risk? What is the risk? There may be profit and there may be loss also. That is risk is taken by a businessman. He is making an investment. Suppose he makes investment of 1 million rupees, 10 lakh rupees. So there is a risk for him that he may have a profit or he may have a loss. But he would have taken a calculative risk. But still there is a risk. But when we are practicing Krishna consciousness, we should not take such risk. We should exactly follow what spiritual master is telling. The Krishna is telling without proprietorship. One should act without proprietorship. Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Maharani ki jai, Nitai Gaur Sundar ki jai, Patit Pavan Srila Prabhupada ki jai. One should follow the order of his spiritual master as it is told. You see, the Srila Prabhupada did that. He was ordered by his spiritual master that should preach in English language. And Prabhupada kept to the point. He wrote his works in English. He was translating Srimad Bhagavatam in English. He was preaching in English. He was doing that. And we see that because of following these instructions, he was phenomenally successful. All we see that Srila Prabhupada's books are, though Prabhupada wrote in English, but now it is translated in most of the languages of the world. So he stick to the instructions of his spiritual master and his preaching effort. He has become very successful. Here we see that how Dhruva Maharaja is just sticking to the instructions of his Guru Narad Muni and is following step by step what has been told. And we see that very shortly he becomes very successful. And Narad Muni has already tested Dhruva Maharaj that he is very determined, also is very sincere. And on this basis he is already predicted to King Uttanapada. Very confidently he is going and saying he will be very successful and very shortly he will come back and he will spread your glories everywhere. So this is a very important point. So if you want to get Krishna, we will not get Krishna directly. It is it is just madness to think that I will get Krishna on my own effort. It is Krishna himself says that actually who is my devotee is not my devotee. The devotees of my devotees are actually my devotees. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also said this. Gopir Bhartu Das, Gopir Bhartu Dasanu Dasanu Das. Uh, One should be servant of servant of servant of servant of servant of Krishna. So that is actually our real position. Jiver Swarup hai Krishna Nitya Das. So our real position is we are servant of servant of servant of servant of Krishna. That is our real position. So when we act accordingly, we will get success. So by bypassing the spiritual master and thinking that I will get Krishna, it is simply hallucination. It is not possible. In ordinary dealing also, we see that people won't reciprocate. When we want to meet some important personality, if we do not have reference, it is sort of not possible to meet him. Correct or not? Without the reference, it is not possible to meet even a VIP here in itself. So how it is possible that we will be able to meet Krishna? So this here also we do not have qualification. To be with Krishna, we should be more than 100% pure, supremely pure. When Sitalanga Prabhu came, he was stressing on this point. We want to serve the deities, we should be very, 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 very clean. If we are not clean internally and externally, then Krishna will run away. Krishna will run away 1,000 steps. Saying Krishna will run away from there because he is very, very clean, very pure, topmost pure personality, very clean. And if he sees anything dirty, why he will stay in that place? Even if we see some dirty things, we will also try to be away from there. So why Krishna will be there? So we have to be very, 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 very pure. And that qualification is not there. So how we will get Krishna? But if it is referred by a pure devotee of the Lord, if it is referred by a spiritual master who is a pure devotee of the Lord, who is a servant of Krishna, then Krishna will consider this. Okay, let my mercy be upon him. So a very important point that without taking shelter of a spiritual master, we will never be able to get Krishna. That is not possible. And Prabhupada is also saying that is the way of perfection. There need be no anxiety over attaining perfection, because if one follows the instructions given by the spiritual master, he is sure to attain perfection. Because Krishna himself is guiding in the form of a spiritual master. So he is guiding and he is telling that this is the way you can get me. So if we just follow that, surely we will get perfection. When we see in the case of Ekalavya and Dronacharya, he was just very dedicated to Dronacharya and he just worshipping him purely and practicing archery, which is a material science. And he was very sincerely practicing, and he has a full faith in Dronacharya. And we see that in very short time he was also became a very expert archer. So one should have a full faith in a spiritual, bona fide spiritual master. All success will automatically follow if we are following the footsteps of a spiritual master, and we don't have to worry about this. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, पतित पावन श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय।